Unveiling Your Authentic Self, a journey to true fulfillment. Welcome to a journey of self discovery that will challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself. Today, we're delving into the profound wisdom shared by Pearl Megafu, a visionary thinker and inspirational guide whose insights have the power to transform lives. Pearl's message isn't just advice, it's a calling, a divine gift aimed at serving humanity by guiding us towards our truest selves. As we embark on this exploration, I want you to imagine a world where everyone lived authentically, where each person fully embraced their unique gifts and purpose. Can you picture the ripple effects, the innovations, the compassion, the connections that would flourish? This isn't just a dream, it's a possibility that lies within each of us, waiting to be unlocked. Pearl's insights challenge us to strip away the layers we've built up over years, sometimes decades. These are the masks we wear, the roles we play, the personas we've adopted to fit in or to please others. But here's the truth: beneath all of that lies your authentic self, yearning to be seen, heard, and expressed. Think about it. How often do you make decisions based on what others expect of you rather than what truly resonates with your soul? How many times have you silenced your inner voice because it didn't align with societal norms? We've all been there. We've all felt that disconnect, that nagging feeling that something isn't quite right. But what if I told you that this discomfort is actually a gift? It's your authentic self knocking on the door of your consciousness, asking to be let in. And when we finally open that door, when we start to peel back those layers and reconnect with our true selves, something magical happens. Pearl describes it as a shift, a fundamental change in how we see the world and how the world sees us. Suddenly, we start attracting different people into our lives. For those seeking a life partner, we become magnets for relationships built on mutual understanding, respect, and love for our authentic selves. But this journey isn't just about relationships. It's about claiming our own power, our own voice. It's about stepping into what Pearl calls a space of authority. Now, don't misunderstand. This isn't about power over others. It's about owning your truth, standing firmly in who you are, unapologetically and without fear. When we reach this place of authority, doors that were once closed begin to open. Opportunities we never thought possible suddenly become available. Why? Because we're no longer trying to fit into a mold that was never meant for us. We're creating our own path aligned with our true nature. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, this sounds great, but it also sounds terrifying. And you're right, it can be scary. It requires vulnerability, honesty, and a willingness to face parts of ourselves that we might have been avoiding for years. But here's what Pearl wants us to understand: our pain, our struggles, our moments of doubt, these aren't obstacles to overcome, they're teachers. Every heartbreak, every failure, every moment of uncertainty is a lesson if we're willing to listen. Let me share the story that illustrates this point. I recently spoke with Sarah, a successful corporate lawyer who seemed to have it all: the high paying job, the impressive title, the respect of her peers. But inside, Sarah felt empty. She'd pursued this career to please her parents, to prove her worth, but it never truly resonated with her soul. It took a major health scare for Sarah to finally confront this disconnect. As she lay in a hospital bed, she realized she'd been living someone else's dream. This painful experience became her wake up call, her teacher. It pushed her to explore what she truly wanted, what brought her joy and fulfillment. Today, Sarah has transitioned to environmental law, combining her skills with her passion for protecting the planet. She's not just successful, she's fulfilled. She's living authentically, and the difference is palpable in every aspect of her life. Sarah's story teaches us that our challenges aren't punishments, they're invitations to grow, to realign, to discover more about who we truly are. But to receive these lessons, we need to approach our pain with curiosity rather than fear. We need to ask, what is this experience trying to teach me? How can I grow from this? What part of myself am I discovering through this challenge? This shift in perspective is powerful. It transforms us from victims of our circumstances into active participants in our own growth and development. It gives us the power to find meaning in our struggles, to use them as stepping stones on our journey of self discovery. But let's be real for a moment. This journey isn't always easy. In fact, it can be downright painful at times. We might have to confront past traumas, face our deepest fears, or let go of beliefs that no longer serve us. It's tempting to avoid this pain, to run from it or numb it. But when we do that, we're also numbing our capacity for joy, for connection, for true fulfillment. Pearl reminds us that allowing ourselves to be loved is a crucial part of this journey. And I'm not just talking about romantic love. I'm talking about opening ourselves up to love in all its forms, from friends, family, community, and most importantly, from ourselves. This might sound simple, but for many of us, it's one of the hardest things we'll ever do. We've been hurt before. We've been disappointed. We've been let down. And as a result, we've built walls around our hearts. We push people away before they can get close enough to hurt us. But here's the truth: those walls that keep out pain also keep out love, joy, and genuine connection. By allowing ourselves to be loved, truly, deeply, unconditionally loved, we open ourselves up to the full spectrum of human experience. We allow ourselves to be seen, flaws and all, and to be accepted for exactly who we are. Let me share another story that illustrates the power of this openness. Meet John, a retired military veteran who struggled with PTSD. For years, John kept people at arm's length, afraid to let anyone see his vulnerability. He equated vulnerability with weakness, and in his mind, weakness was unacceptable. But in a veteran support group, John encountered a different perspective. He met others who had been through similar experiences, who understood his pain. Slowly, hesitantly, he began to open up. And as he did, something remarkable happened. Instead of judgment, he found acceptance. Instead of rejection, he found connection. This experience transformed John. By allowing himself to be seen, to be loved, despite and even because of his struggles, he began to heal. He discovered parts of himself he had long buried: his capacity for empathy, his desire to help others, his need for connection. Today, John volunteers as a mentor for other veterans. He's not just surviving, he's thriving. He's living authentically, using his experiences, even the painful ones, to make a positive impact on the world. John's story teaches us that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage. It's the key that unlocks genuine connections, that allows us to be truly seen and accepted for who we are. This ties into another crucial aspect of Pearl's teaching: viewing the world through the lens of "I know who I am." When we have a strong sense of self, when we're grounded in our own identity, we navigate the world differently. We're less swayed by others' opinions. We're less likely to compromise our values. We make decisions from a place of authenticity rather than fear or obligation. But let's be clear: knowing who you are isn't about having all the answers. It's not about being perfect or having it all figured out. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Knowing who you are means being comfortable with your imperfections. It means embracing your quirks, your flaws, your unique perspective on the world. It means being okay with not having all the answers and being open to growth and change. As we journey towards self-discovery, we often find that true happiness isn't something we chase or achieve. It's something that naturally flows from living authentically. When we're aligned with our true selves, when we're living in accordance with our values and purpose, happiness becomes less of a goal and more of a byproduct of our way of being. Now, I want to pause here for a moment and acknowledge something important. This journey of self discovery, this path to authenticity, is not a one time event. It's not something you do once and then you're done. It's a lifelong process. We're constantly growing, evolving, uncovering new layers of ourselves. And that's okay. In fact, it's beautiful. Pearl's message reminds us that we're all works in progress. We're all on this journey together, stumbling, falling, getting back up, and moving forward. And there's immense power in recognizing that we don't have to do this alone. This brings me to another crucial point that Pearl emphasized: the importance of community in our journey of self discovery. We often think of personal growth as a solitary endeavor, something we have to figure out on our own. But the truth is, we need each other. We need support, encouragement, and sometimes a gentle push from those around us. When we surround ourselves with people who see our potential, who believe in us, even when we don't believe in ourselves, amazing things can happen. These people become mirrors, reflecting back to us parts of ourselves we might not have seen otherwise. They become cheerleaders, encouraging us to take risks and step outside our comfort zones. They become fellow travelers on this journey of self discovery, sharing their own experiences and insights. But here's the catch: to build this kind of supportive community, we have to be willing to be vulnerable. We have to be willing to let people in, to share our struggles as well as our triumphs. And yes, that can be scary. It requires trust, both in others and in ourselves. But the rewards are immeasurable. As we open ourselves up to authentic connections, we create a ripple effect. Our vulnerability gives others permission to be vulnerable. Our authenticity inspires others to be authentic, and slowly but surely, we start to create a world where people feel free to be who they truly are. Now, let's talk about something that many of us struggle with: self love. In our conversation, Pearl emphasized the critical importance of loving ourselves, not in a narcissistic way, but in a deep, compassionate, accepting way. This kind of self love is the foundation for everything else in our lives. Think about it. How can we truly love others if we don't love ourselves? How can we pursue our dreams if we don't believe we're worthy of them? How can we stand up for ourselves if we don't value who we are? Self love isn't about being perfect. It's about accepting ourselves as we are, flaws and all. It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and compassion we'd offer to a dear friend. It's about recognizing our inherent worth, not because of what we do or achieve, but simply because we exist. This kind of self love is revolutionary. It changes how we interact with the world. When we truly love ourselves, we stop seeking validation from others. We stop compromising our values to fit in. We start setting healthy boundaries. We start pursuing what truly matters to us, not what we think will impress others. But here's the thing about self love: it's not always easy. We live in a world that often tells us we're not enough, not smart enough, not attractive enough, not successful enough. We're bombarded with messages that make us question our worth. And sometimes the loudest critic is the voice in our own heads. That's why Pearl's message is so powerful. She reminds us that we have the power to change that narrative. We have the ability to silence that inner critic and replace it with a voice of love and acceptance. It takes practice, it takes patience, but it's possible. Let me share one more story that illustrates the transformative power of self love. Meet Maria, a single mother who struggled with feelings of inadequacy and guilt. She constantly compared herself to other parents, always feeling like she was falling short. This negative self talk affected every aspect of her life, from her relationships to her career. One day, inspired by a talk on self love, Maria decided to try something different. She started a daily practice of self appreciation. Every night before bed, she would write down 3 things she liked about herself, or 3 things she had done well that day. At first, it felt awkward, even silly, but she persisted. Slowly, Maria's perspective began to shift. She started noticing her strengths more than her perceived weaknesses. She began to appreciate her resilience, her creativity in problem solving, her capacity for love. As her self love grew, so did her confidence. She started taking better care of herself, which in turn allowed her to be more present for her child. The change in Maria was so profound that others noticed. Her relationships improved. She performed better at work. But most importantly, she felt at peace with herself. She was no longer striving to be someone else's idea of perfect. She was embracing her authentic self, imperfections and all. Maria's story shows us that self love isn't just a feel good concept, it's a powerful force that can transform our lives from the inside out. It's the foundation upon which we build everything else. As we near the end of our time together, I want to circle back to something Pearl emphasized: the idea that this journey leads us to a place of true happiness. But it's important to understand what this happiness really means. It's not the fleeting happiness that comes from external achievements or possessions. It's a deep, abiding sense of contentment and fulfillment that comes from living authentically. When we're aligned with our true selves, when we're living in accordance with our values and purpose, happiness becomes less of a goal and more of a natural state of being. We find joy in the simple act of being ourselves. We find peace in knowing that we're on the right path, even if we don't know exactly where it leads. So, where do we go from here? How do we take these powerful insights and apply them to our lives? How do we embark on our own journeys of self discovery? First, I challenge you to start small. Set aside time each day, even if it's just 5 minutes, for self reflection. Ask yourself, who am I really? What do I value? What brings me joy? What am I afraid of? Be honest with yourself, be vulnerable, and most importantly, be kind to yourself in this process. Second, practice self love. Start your own daily self appreciation practice. Write down 3 things you like about yourself or 3 things you did well each day. Watch how this simple act begins to shift your perspective over time. Third, seek out authentic connections. Surround yourself with people who support your journey, who see your potential, who encourage you to be your true self, and in turn, be that person for others. Create a ripple effect of authenticity and vulnerability in your community. Fourth, embrace your challenges as teachers. The next time you face a difficulty, approach it with curiosity rather than fear. Ask yourself what this experience might be trying to teach you. How might it be guiding you towards your authentic self? Finally, and perhaps most importantly, give yourself permission to be a work in progress. Remember, this journey of self-discovery is lifelong. There's no finish line, no point at which you got it all figured out, and that's okay. In fact, it's beautiful. It means there's always more to explore, more to learn, more ways to grow. You have within you a unique gift, a unique perspective, a unique purpose. The world needs your authenticity. It needs your vulnerability. It needs your truth. So dare to discover who you really are. Dare to let yourself be seen. Dare to live authentically. As Pearl would say, you are here to serve. You have a gift. And by uncovering your true self, by living authentically, you're not just transforming your own life, you're making the world a better place. Imagine a world where everyone lived authentically, where each person fully embraced their unique gifts and purpose. That world begins with you. It begins with your decision to embark on this journey of self discovery, to peel back the layers, to embrace your true self. This journey won't always be easy. There will be challenges. There will be moments of doubt, but I promise you it will be worth it because on the other side of that journey is a life of authenticity, of genuine connection, of true fulfillment. So I leave you with this question. Are you ready? Are you ready to embark on this journey of self-discovery? Are you ready to embrace your authentic self? Are you ready to live a life that's truly yours? The choice is yours. The journey begins now. Thank you.